Dạ, cả nhà có nhìn thấy cái phần anh slide share chưa ạ?
Thấy con.
Dạ thấy rồi cô.
Dạ, hôm nay mình sẽ đọc khoảng từ ngày 7 tới ngày 15 nha. Làm cho một tuần luôn nha. chạy đua. Dạ, mời cô Tiffany ạ. Cô dẫn đoàn đi ạ.
Dạ.
Mình đọc
Yes. Hello everyone, welcome to today's car racing. We will be doing
Cô mở mic cô ơi.
Oh sorry, tự nhiên giờ nói quá trời luôn. Hello everyone, welcome to car racing today. We're doing speed 10, letter size 30, and today we'll be reading chapter 1, Introduction to the Man Who Thought His Way into Partnership with Thomas A. Edison. Okay, everyone, are you ready?
On track, ready.
Yes.
Track, we're ready. Let's go.
Ready.
Yes, let's go, ready. Okay.
Chapter 1, Introduction. The man who thought his way into
The man who thought
Thomas
his
A.
way
Edison
into the
quickly started to
partnership
think
with
and how
The
things
man who
like that.
thought his
What that
way
mixed with
into
definiteness,
partnership
purpose,
Thomas
and a
Edison
burning
took
desire for the
into
translation to riches or other material objects.
mixed with
A little more than 30 years ago, Edison
purpose
to this that man
and
really
burning desire for the translation other material.
beginning
A
with a
little
burning
more
desire
than
to
30
become the
years
business
ago,
of
when
the A. Edison. One of the chief
Banner
considerations
discovered
design was that it was
it
infinite. He wanted to work with Edison, not for him.
This discovery is not
Observe
from the
carefully the
one
description of how he went
and
about
little by
turning his
little,
desire into
meaning it
reality.
a burning
You will
desire
have
to
a better
become a
understanding of
business
the
associate
13th
of the great Edison. One, the
which lead to riches.
characteristic of inner
This desire or impulse of
or
thought
definite. He
flashed into
wanted
his
to work
mind. He
with
was in
Edison,
no
not saw
position
him
to act upon it.
carefully the
Difficulties stood in his way.
he went
He did
about
not know Mr.
translating
Edison,
into his
and he did not have enough money to
will
pay
have
his
a better
railroad fare to
understanding
Orange
of the
University. These difficulties were sufficient to
when his manner or
discourage
impulse
the majority of men from making any attempt to
mind
carry out
were
the
in no
desire. But his way
act
was no
upon it.
ordinary desire. He was so determined to
Way
find a
did
way to
not
carry
know
out his
Mr.
desire that
Edison
he
did
did
not have
not
enough
need
money
to travel by blind
and
baggage.
no pair
Rather,
of
he
needed.
through the initiated that he went to
The measure
French
he
on a
took
freight
from it carry
presented
out
himself at
and
Mr.
it was
Edison's
no
laboratory and
ordinary
announced he
task.
had
He
come to
was
go into
so
business with the
determined
inventor.
to carry out his high
In speaking of the first meeting between
ideas
Barnes and
and
Edison
had
years later,
went to
Mr.
its
Edison said,
foreign on the
he stood there before me. He looked at like an ordinary tramp.
Edison laboratory and
The
noted
expression of his face, which conveyed the
inventor.
impression that he was determined to get what he had come after
And
and he had
Edison was
learned
determined
from
and
experience with
he
men.
stood there
When a
from
man
me
really
looking like an
desires something
ordinary
so deeply that he is willing to
but there
substitute
was
his
something in the
entire
expression of his
future
face
on a single
where
turn
the
of the wheel in
person
order
had
to get
determined
he is sure to win.
he had
I
come
gave him I
and
gave
had
him
learned
the
some year
opportunity
of
he asked for.
experience and
I saw he
training
had made up his
and
mind to
learned
stand by until
so
he
that he were willing to take
subsequent
time to
events
show
proved
otherwise in
that
order
mistake
to
was made.
succeed in his
Thus,
position. I
this
gave him the
young Barnes
opportunity
and
he
Mr.
asked for
Edison on
because
that
before
occasion
he
was
had
far
made
less important
mind to stand by
than that
until he
which he
succeeded.
thought. Edison
There
himself
even
also
proved that no
it could not have been the young man's appearance, which was his start in Edison's office. But that was definitely against him. It was that he forgot to count this needing to be conveyed to every person who reads it. There would be no need for the repeater of the book. Trump did not get his partnership with Edison on his first interview. He didn't get a chance to work in the Edison offices for very nominal wage. There was unanticipated reason. He was torn to Barnes because he gave him an opportunity to place his merchandise where his independent partner could see it. Months went by. Apparently, nothing happened concerning the coveted expo, which Trump had set up in his mind as his definite major purpose. But something funny was happening in Barnes' mind. He was constantly intensifying his desire to become the business associate of Edison. Psychologists have correctly said that when one is too ready for a thing, it is experience. He was ready for business association with Edison. Moreover, he was determined to remain ready until he got that which he was seeking. He did not say to himself, "Oh, what's the use? I guess I'll change my mind and try for a second." I came here to go into business with Edison, now accomplished and if it takes the remainder of my life. He ended what a different story men would have to do. Only they would adopt a definite purpose, stand by the purpose, that purpose until it had time to become an all-consuming obsession. Maybe young Barnes did not know it at the time, but he knew it. He showed of determination. His persistently standing back of a single desire was destined to mow down all opposition.
His persistence in standing back a high desire was destined to and the opportunity
Different
was
direction. Go ahead. This is one of the tricks of originator. It's a sly habit of sneaking in by the back door. It often comes disguised in the form of misfortune, temporary defeat. This is why so many people fail to recognize opportunity. Pay a premium for us. Mr. Edison had just perfected a new office device, known at the time as the Edison dictating machine, now the Ediphone. His salesman was not enthusiastic about the machine. They did not believe it could be sold without great effort. Barnes saw his opportunity. It had crawled in quietly, hidden in a weird-looking machine. No one but Barnes and the inventor. Barnes knew he could sell the Edison dictating machine. He suggested this to Edison and promptly got his chance. In fact, he sold so successfully that Edison gave him a contract to distribute the market all over the nation. That business association with the slogan "Made by Edison and installed by Barnes." The business alliance has been in operation for more than 30 years. Out of it, Barnes has made himself rich in money, but he has done something infinitely greater. He has proved that one really may prove and grow rich. How much actual cash that original desire of Barnes has been worth to him, I have no way of knowing. Perhaps it has been brought to him or $3 million, but the amount, whatever it is, become insignificant when compared with the greater asset he acquired in the form of infinite knowledge that he had intangible impulse of thought can be transmuted into its physical counterparts by the application of known principles. Barnes literally got himself into a partnership with the great Edison, got himself into a fortune. He had nothing to do except the capacity to know what he wanted and the determination to stand by that desire until he realized it. He had no money to begin with. He had but little education. He got no influence, but he he did have
digital
initiative
education. He had
and the
no
will to
influence,
win.
but
With
he
these
have in
internal forces, he made himself number
creativity
one
and
man with the greatest inventor who
twist.
ever lived.
With
Now let's
he
look at a
had
different situation and see a man who
he
had
made
plenty of
himself
tangible
number
evidence
one
of
man
riches
with
but lost it.
rich
First, he
inventor
stopped
who
3 feet
have like
short of the
smart
goal he
focus,
was
low
seeking. Now
transportation
he
and study manipulating
3 feet from goal.
tangible
The most common cause of failure is the habit of quitting when one is
lost it
overtaken by temporary defeat.
with
Every person
lack
is
of
guilty of this mistake at one time or another. An
belief.
uncle
He
of RU Darby was caught by the gold fever in the gold
one
rush
of
days
his
and went to
was
West to
those
dig and grow
Abraham
rich. He had never heard that much that more gold had been mined from the brains of men and as ever
every
taken from the
person
earth. He
is
a
made of
claim and went to work with
different
pick
and
and shovel.
one time
And
or
going was
another.
hard, but his lust
An
for gold was
uncle
infinite.
was called
After
by
weeks
the
of
gold
labor, he was
fever in the
rewarded
first place,
with a
and
shining ore. He needed
and
machinery to
with
bring the ore to the surface. Quickly, he covered up the mine.
has
He
impact
retraced his
from the
footsteps
one
to
of
his home
men
in
that has
Williamsburg
ever been
Island,
made
told his
from the
relatives and
earth.
a few neighbors of the
That
street to
accumulate and
got together money
with
for the
two
needed machine and a
machine
ship.
going
His
was
uncle
hard,
and Darby
but
went back to
his
work the mine. The
money
first car of
going
ore
was
was
cheap.
mined and shipped to
It took
Gibraltar.
a lot for him
A
to
return proved they had one of the richest mines
copy
in
of
Colorado.
finding
A few more cars of that ore
and
would
machinery
clear
to
the
clean
depths and
the
would come the
white
big killing
surface.
part. Down
Quietly,
went the
it
dream,
was
up went the
clear
hopes of Darby uncle. Then
that
something
through
happened.
his
The
own
vein of gold
player
ore
got
disappeared.
whether
They
he
had
had
cut
the
the
need
end of the
and
rainbow.
actively
The pot of
fit
gold was no longer there. They drew on desperately, trying to pick up the
mine
vein
the
again.
inside
All
of
to no
was dry
avail.
and
Eventually, they
it
decided to quit,
was
sold the machinery
the
to a junkman
return
for a few
place
$100s,
to
and took the
riches in
train back home. Some
a few
junkmen
more
are
time
dumb, but not this
that
one. He called in a mining engineer
that
to
when
look
the
at the mine
view
and do a
upward
little
of
calculating.
Harry and
The engineer
then
advised that
something
the
happened.
project had
The
failed
way
because
of
the
the
owners
gold
were not familiar with
disappeared. They had come to the end
calculations.
of the
The
rainbow
vein could be
and the
found
pot
just not
of
far
gold was no
from the
longer
where the
there.
Darbies had stopped
They sold the
drilling.
machine to
That
a
exactly
junk
where it was
man
found.
for a
The
few
junkman took
$100.
millions of
And
expensive
to
ore
all
from the mine
people,
because he knew
young men
enough to
are
seek
dumb, but
experts' counsel
also
before giving
one
up.
of his most
Most of the
influential
money which went to the
to
machinery was
edify and
procured through the efforts
little
of
calculating
R.U.
and
Darby, who was
engineer
then a very young
ability.
man. The money
He
came from his
was
relatives
still
and neighbors. Because of their faith
constantly
in him, he paid back every dollar of it.
all like
So he was years in doing
calculating
so.
essential that the way would be found the 3 feet
Long
from
after
where
Mr.
the
Darby recouped his loss
where
many
it
times
found
over,
the
when he made the
and took
discovery that desire can be
$1 billion
transmuted into gold,
from the mine
a
to continue
discovery
investing
after he went to the business
forgetting
of selling
both
life
sides of
insurance.
the
He
money
remembered that he lost a
but
huge fortune
machinery was
because he
good.
stopped 3 feet from
The
gold.
effort of
Quickly
was
motivated by the experience
strong
in
men.
his social work, what
Money
is human method of
from his
saying
relative
to
and
himself, I stopped
neighbor
3 feet from gold, but I will never stop because men say no when
participating
I ask them to buy
everywhere of
insurance.
his own
He
zone.
is one of a small
The
group of the 50 men
people
who sell
known
more
as
than $1
was
million in life
constantly
insurance
lost
annually.
many times over
His
when he
stickability to the lesson he learned from his quitability
go.
in the gold
This
mine
week
business.
actually when it
Before
came to
success comes
business
in one
of
man's
selling
life, it's
life
sure to
insurance.
meet with much
Remembering
temporary
that
defeat and
he
perhaps some failure. When defeat
he
overtakes a man, the easiest and most logical thing to do is to quit. That is exactly what the majority of
I
men do.
never stop
More
because
than
when I know
200
when
of the
I
most
have
successful
life
men this
insurance
country have not
by
told
one
the
of a
author
small
their
group
greatest success came
of
just one step beyond the
sure
point
that
at which defeat had overtaken
more
them.
than a million
Failure
dollar
is a
life
trickster with a keen sense
insurance
of irony.
or
Funny, it takes a
for
great
succeeding
delight
men
in
in
tripping one when success
man's
is
life
almost
is
within reach.
with
They tend to
temporary
report
defeat and perhaps
Pretty senseless and inconsistent.
When we
A keen sense of
is
irony
it
and feeling.
must
It has been
be
derived
thing
into
to
a
do
philosophy
with that
almost
exactly
Shortly after Mr. Darby received his degree from the University of Harvard, He decided to profit by his experience in
and has
American
decided to
business.
profit
He
by
had
his
the good fortune
experience
to be present on an
money.
occasion that proved to him that no
Has
one
good
does not
fortune to be
necessarily mean
present
no. One afternoon, he was helping his uncle grind wheat in an
present
old
on
machine
an
mill. The
occasion
uncle
when
operated
he
a
did
large
not
wheat farm
know
on which a number
was
of
not
other
necessary.
sharecroppers lived.
One afternoon he was
Quietly, the
helping
door
his
was
uncle
open, and a
grind
small
an
colored
old
child,
machine mill.
daughter of a
The uncle
tenant,
operated
walked in
a
and took
large
her
wheat
place near the
farm with
door.
number of
The uncle
acres.
looked up,
The
saw the
old
child, and barked
farmer's
at it roughly. "What do you want?"
partly the door was
Quickly, the
open and
child
a
replied,
small
"My father
colored
said,
child
let her have this.
tenant
I'll not
of a
do it."
tenant
The uncle retorted, "Now
walked
you
in
run
and
on
took a
home."
place near the door.
"Sir,"
The
the
uncle
child replied, but she did not move.
and barked at her roughly.
The
"What
uncle
do you
went
want?"
ahead with his work so
Because
busily
the children
engaged that
replied,
he did not pay
"My
enough
mom is sent
attention to the child to
criticized me.
observe that she
I
did not leave.
I don't
When
think
he looked up
I'm
and
going to
saw
profit
her still
by
sleeping
being
there, he yelled
uncle.
her, "I told you to go
Yes, sir."
home. Now go
The
or
child
take a
replied,
switch
but
to
she did
you."
not move. The uncle went ahead with his work so
The little
busily
girl said,
engaged
"Yes, sir,"
that he did
but
not pay enough
she did
attention
not
when
budge
she
an
told
inch.
him she did not leave.
The uncle dropped
The
a sack of
uncle
grain he was about to
still
pour into
standing
the
there.
manger.
He
He
yelled at
picked up
her,
a barrel
"Please
staff
come
and set
home,
her toward the child with an
or I'll
expression
take
on
a
her
switch
face
to
that
you."
indicated trouble.
The boy said,
Darty
"Yes,
held
sir,"
his breath. He was
but
certain
she
he
did
was
not
about to witness a
budge
murder.
an inch.
He knew
The
his
uncle
uncle had
dropped
a
a
fierce
sack of
temper. He knew
grain
that
he
colored
was
children
about
were
to
not
pour
supposed to
into
develop
the
white people
fire.
in that part of
He
the
dropped
country.
the barrel
When the
stave
uncle reached the spot where the
and
child was
replied
standing,
with an
he
expression of
quickly
face
stepped
that indicated trouble.
forward one step,
Darby
looked
held
into
his
his
breath.
eyes
He was
with
certain
the
he
top
was
of her
about to
shrill
witness
voice,
a
"My
murder.
mama
His uncle had
dad
had
has had
a
sense."
temper. He knew
The
that
uncle
colored
stopped,
children
looked
was
at
not
her for a
supposed
minute,
to
then
be
slowly laid the barrel
ultimately
staff on the floor,
country.
put
The
his
uncle
hand
would
in his
speculate
his
whether
pocket,
to
took out
try
half a
the
dollar,
stave
gave it to
and
her.
step backward,
The child took the
took it
money and
into the
slowed
white
back
people.
toward the door, never taking her eyes off the man
Circles.
whom she had just conquered. After she
So
had gone, the uncle
the
sat
uncle
down on the
stopped.
box and looked out the window into space for more than 10 minutes.
The uncle
He was
said,
pondering with
"Put it
awe
and
over the
use
whipping he
and
had
half a
just
dollar
taken.
and give it to her.
Darby, too,
Tried to
was
money
moved with
and she
sympathy.
slowly
That was the first time in our experience that he had seen a colored child
his concord.
deliberately
She had
massacre an
the
adult
uncle sat
white
down on
person.
the box
How
and
did she do it? What happened to his
to
uncle that caused him to
slowly
lose his fierceness
give it
and
to
become as docile
half
as a
of
lamb?
he had just taken.
What
The
strange
uncle dropped
power
into
did
his
this child
bosom
use that makes her master
what
over
was
her
the first time the
superior
uncle experienced that
and
innocent
other
colored
simpler
children
branches flashed
deliberately
to Darby's
massacred
mind, but he
and
did not find the answer
conquered.
until years
Would
later.
have happened
When
to
he
his
told me the
uncle.
story, strangely, the story of this
Yes,
unusual
he
experience was
feels different
told to the author in the
he
old mill
said
on the very
after that
spot where the uncle took
his
his
power
whipping.
did his work.
Yesterday,
It made
too,
him
I have
masterless,
developed
but
nearly a
thieves and other
quarter of a century
sympathizers
to the study of
at
the
this
power
time
which
he did not
enable
pay attention to his work. He
ignorant,
told me the story. This
illiterate colored child to conquer
the place
an
after
intelligent
Darby's
man,
voice
yea,
the
living
uncle
at
took
his
the
feet.
whipping.
As
Stepping
we
to a
stood
high
in that
door
musty
near
old mill, Mr. Darby repeated the
the
story of the unusual conquest and
neighborhood.
finished by asking, "What
Knowing
can you make of it?
territory
What strange power that child
of
used that so
intelligent
completely
men
whipped my uncle?"
understood the impact of
This
old
question will be
when
found in the principles
study of
described in
his
this book.
conquest
The answer
and
is
his
simple and
like
complete. It
and
contains details and
what
instructions
can you make of it?
sufficient
After
to
the uncle
enable
took the
anyone to
farm to
understand
the
and
country
apply
to
the
stable,
symbols which
later
the
his
little
father
child
the farmer's
accidentally
advices
stumbled upon. Keep your mind alert, and you will
and
observe
obey instructions
the
to
power
make anyone understand.
when you
When you
view the
see
red
cause
finger
of
of the
the
child,
uncle
you will catch a glimpse of
this question will be
Somewhere in the
found
book,
in
you will find an idea that
principle
will
described
listen your
in
research powers and assist at your command for your own benefit. This
contain an
seems
instruction
irresistible power. The
in
awareness of divine power
any
may appear in
understand
the
and
first chapter, or
is
it
the
may
same
flash into your
force
mind in
with
some
the
subsequent chapter. It may come in the form of a single idea, or it may come in the
and you will
nature of a plan
necessarily
or a
question
purpose. Again, it may cause
with
you to go back into your
you
past
will
experience of failure
reveal
or
this
default
power in the next
and
chapter.
bring to the
Somewhere
surface some lesson by which
you will
you can
find
regain
an
all that you
idea
lost
that
in
will
defeat.
deepen your
Here I have
lesson
described to Mr. Arthur the
and
power and wisdom
greatly
possessed
you
by the
command for
scholar child. He
process
possesses
in
30 years of experience
the
in the life
awareness
of
of his
this
destiny.
salesman and bring the knowledge and the necessities that
Again, it
here
may
was
cause
you
you go
in
back
no
into
small
your past
degree
experience
to the lesson he had learned from the child.
defeat and bring to the surface some
Darby
lesson
pointed
by
out every
which you
time
can
a
regain
suspect tried to
all
foul
that
me
you
out
lost from
without buying,
defeat.
I saw that
After
child
I had
standing
this
there holding a hook
to that by the
stare
power
in defiance and
quietly used
saw
by
the
the little
and told
flower
myself,
child.
I gotta make this sell. The better
His
portion of all
years
sales
of
I
experience
have
life
made
insurance segment
have made
in no
after people
small
have said
degree
no. Here it
the
called to his
lesson he
measure
had
in
learned
having
from
stopped
the child.
hungry people
Amid that by
control,
purchasing
but
having
he
temper
said he
the
refused
tries
to
to
stop
go
thinking
out
having
sighing. I saw that child
keep
standing
under
there in the Omeo, perfect and brightly
the goal, but he taught me
and I said
experience was a
to
blessing in
myself,
disguise. It taught me to keep
make this help.
keep on keeping on
This
the growing.
in
Less
happens
activity before I
only
could
from
succeed
goal.
in anything. This
Said that
triggered Mr. Darby
were
and
a
his uncle, the
blessing
colored child on the go
because I taught
line.
me keep
Doubtless
on
will be read in the hundreds of men who make a living
going
themselves
where
like
may
insurance
be.
agents.
A lesson is the
All of these
lesson I need to
here
learn
is
before
the
I could
author wishes
success
to offer
in
the
anything. This
suggestion that
story
Darby
of Darby and
these
his
two
uncle,
experiences, his
the
ability to
child
sell
and
more than
the
$1 million
worldwide
of life insurance every year,
will be
life
readily
is
by
strange, often
men who use
imponderable.
their living by
The
selling my
success
insurance
and the
experience.
failure have
Both of
their
their
roots
is shaped and
in
often
simple
evolved.
experiences. Mr. Darby
Success and the
experiences
fail
common
and the root in
were
little
commonplace,
than by
simple enough, yet
experience.
they still have the answer to
Commonplace
his
and
destiny
simple
inside. Therefore, they
enough.
were as important to him as
They
life
have
itself.
the
Be prepared
answer
by
to
these
his
two dramatic
destiny in life.
experiences
Therefore, they
because
were
he
as
analyzed them
important
and
as
found the lesson they
myself.
taught. But what
To
if
fit
the man
indeed by my own
who has
experience.
melted
Because
either the
in
timing or the invitation to
the
seek
lesson
failure in
they
search
taught,
of
but what of the
knowledge
man who has made a
may lead to
success?
success. Where
Where
did
and
how and
is
how
he
is
learned to
he
ask of
learn the art
good
of
thing to
something
fit into step
something defeat into stepping stones
opportunity in
to
answer to
opportunity
their question
in answer
were
to these
written. The
questions this
answer
book was
called
written.
for a
The answer
description
called
of
for a
13 principle, but remember
description of
as
13
you read
principles.
the answer,
But
you
remember,
may
as
be seeking to
the
the
answer you
question
may be
with
seeking to the questions you
you
love
to
cause you
ponder
to
over the
ponder
strange
over the
life
strangeness of life may be
may be
found in your
found
own
in
mind
your
through
own
some idea,
mind,
plan, or
some
purpose,
idea,
which may
plan,
spring
and
into your mind
purpose
as
which
well
may spring
as you need
to your mind as
unsound
you read.
ideas are
Some
the only ways
idea
to
in
achieve
all
success. The
one need to
author
achieve
is
success. The principle
way
described in the
in this
significance
book
and the
contain the
most
best and the most powerful
principle
principle of all that
all
known
that is
concerning
known
ways
in
and means
way
of creating value.
anything use
Believe
idea. If we go any
any
further in our
any approach to
the
these
description
principles.
of that principle, we
We
believe
believe you
you are
entitled
entitled
to
to receive
receive
50% success
life's
with
situation
to come, they come so
which
quickly
begin
in
to come, they come so quickly like abundance that one
wonder
wonders
where
how
they
come
have been
they have been hiding during all this
then
year. This
this
is an
is an
investment
investment
more
and
so
when we
it
take
is
into
super
consideration its
consideration
popular
and popular belief
opinion of
$5,000
all
which is
individuals
I
and
too wanted to
professionals
go
in
to
law.
well
When you
begin
begin to
to
think
think and
about
grow
this,
rich,
you
you observe
observe
that
that
riches begin with
riches
a
is
sense of
a
purpose, finance with a purpose, with little or no
the
work.
business
This means
depression
person out to be
every
interested to know
other
how to
email
acquire
and
that
continue
they
knowing how
acquire,
to
onto
apply
which
that
time
attract
might
one
construction.
keeps
yet
Until some time after
engaged in
President just
research
and
and
for
analyzation
advantage
the
formation.
corporation began to get into market
I
that
too
has
want to
been
know how wealthy
politicians
people
think future with steroids.
without
President
that research
standardization
has
could not have
inheriting
arisen to
vision
have any significance
after
to
decades of
now appear in the
the
market.
business of depression started in
President
1929
president
and continued
in
on
1929 and
on
National
time
Institute
record destruction
principles
until
of this philosophy and began to develop
after
the institution for examining those
President
principles.
Roosevelt into office. Then
American
the business
status
began to
status
face
and
some
everything you has to be
the life strategy
consistent
that dominated is trying to
the
lie
last
because you realize you
possible
told the
the
people
main
and
benefit of
the
man as the average mass
people
familiar
observe
familiarity
very
with
closely
what
as you master the principle of
without
you
taking
the
over
philosophy of the
national
instruction, the instructions for applying those
what's
principles.
becoming from
When
those
you
the
your financial
there
status
are
will improve.
and are willing to step in to take every unforeseen a great many people face crisis
For your benefit.
with
Not at all. One of the main benefits is always damage or failure
there would
we
not
know
be
the
an
probability.
voice not for you to
We know all the things we cannot be done differently for those who seek the truth.
still it comes to
Except
those
for
who
the successful and
tell them how to succeed.
so
The author
everything on the whole,
just
return to the word possible.
things
Finally,
from clear
one
things
of the
to
proof
success.
that could
That
not be
while
unwise thing
focusing
for
on the
you
other
to
dramatic
that will not be an
advancing
unwise thing to
everything
do. Just
every
some
concept
those who become successful.
someone
Failure comes
who
to
will
those
with
who literally allow
believe
themselves to be
to
so-called
everyone
one.
because their self have been set partly and is an partner
This book is to help all who seek it to learn the art of changing their minds from failure to success in consciousness.
he attended the
One
University of
weakness found in the too many people is the habit of wishing to be everyone. By their own impression and beliefs,
and
will we this
has
believe that no one
he
can
has
grow
been
and grow rich.
not
They cannot
in
in
terms
terms of
of
riches because their thought habits have been
why
stored in
Chinese
poverty,
man is
wanting,
with
misery, failure, and
the right
disgrace. Unfortunately,
is
people
like
remind me of a
France.
prominent
What do you say about
come to
China?
America to
Secret
acclaim
of
and win.
is that
He attended the University
they
of
thought
Chicago
Taiwan
one day.
limitations
Captain Harvard met this young Oriental on the
other
campus,
are
stopped to chat with him for a
but
few
they are not
minutes, asked what had impressed
couldn't keep on
him as the most
himself
characteristics
after he
of the
worked
American people.
while
Hi,
he
the Chinaman explained. Look
uh,
where
vacuum
slant of your eyes.
or
Your
whatever it
eyes
is
are all slant.
created
What do you say about the Chinese? We refuse to
one
believe. I wish we do not understand. We foolishly believe that our own
those who
limitations
do
are the
know
proper
to
measure of
know
limitations.
how to
Sure, the other
love
fellow's eyes are off slant because they are
has
not the
the
same as our own. Millions of people look at the
grow
underachievements of
to
life
give back
and be
find
him
those
because
who
they're
know
not or genius
how
or
to
whatever
use it
you say.
nothing
Measure credit for their misfortune. Perhaps one person has
the
thousands
entire
of
is like fingers one
and
of
those who do
having
not
trust
know are too modest
that
or too reluctant going to think of it. Simplicity. A
We
single
divide
transaction will illustrate the secret perfectly.
but it was simply impossible to cross an its
Design workplace on paper
use it anyway, but they replied, it's
A few
impossible.
years back, Ford decided to build one that famously
And
in
stay
order
on
he
the
chose to
job
build an
till the
engine with the entire 8 cylinders.
time is
Toss in
required.
one block and instruct
Engineers
his
was very happy.
engineers to
There was
produce a
nothing
design for the
explained the
engine. The design was
on
placed on paper. These
6 months went by.
meant that it was
and
simply
one
impossible to
thing
cross
Passed,
so
still nothing happened.
it was
cylinder,
that
the gas engine block in one piece.
Engineers
Ford
tried
said,
six
and
months
use it
went by,
anyway.
nothing
But
happened.
they
without
replied,
Another 6 months,
he had
still
to
nothing
fail
happened.
the job until you
The
succeed.
At
No
the end of
matter
the
how
engineer
much
tried
time
every
is
conceivable
required, the
plan
engine
how
had
it
to run.
the
And
order, but
there
the
was
things
nothing
came
else for
with
them to do. If
complication
he
impossible.
remained on
At
the
the
force
end
of
of
6
the
months went by,
third
nothing happened. Another 6 months passed,
when
still
they
nothing happened.
informed him they
Questions,
had
tired,
no way to
lifting,
carry
conceivable
his
pain
orders.
compared to the
Had to
orders, but
go
the
right ahead.
being unconcerned.
History may not be described with minute accuracy, but the sum and substance
Possible.
History
At the
may
end of the
not be
year, Ford
described
checked
with
with his engineers, and again they informed
but the
him that they
he
had
used to
and
gone,
think
substance
they
of
found
it
no way
was
to
ready
carry
to
out
do
his orders.
with always touching and growing the
chemicals
secret of the form
because
even if you can, you will
unidentified
not be able to look very far. Henry
in
Ford is a
gallery
success
History
because
may not be
he
described with minute
remember the
accuracy,
planned
but
before
the
and
sum
streamlined the
and
principle of
the
success.
sum
One
and
of them
substance
is
is
design,
correct.
knowing what
Deduce from it.
one.
You who wish to think
Remember,
and
this
reach
was
secret
started
of the
at
4
Ewit
millions. If you can,
2009
do
in
not have
with the
to
secret of his
look very far.
proven
Henry Ford achieved
achievements
success
have been described. If you can do it,
because he
you
understands
lay
and
your
applies the
finger on
principle
some
of success.
particular group
One of these is
of
desire.
principles. But
Knowing what
Henry Ford
one
had
wants.
this
Remember,
achievement in a lot, and
Cả
it's
nhà ơi,
for with
8 phút rồi đó.
you
Cả nhà
ask.
có muốn đọc nữa không ạ?
Seven
Dạ.
achievements have been described if you can do it. If you can lay your finger on the particular group of principles which made Henry Ford great, you can equal his achievement
Dạ.
in
Cả
all
nhà
the
ơi,
any
30 phút rồi đó.
This
Cả nhà có muốn đọc nữa không
you
ạ?
are suited.
dạ chắc ngừng quá cô Anh, em buồn ngủ quá.
Rồi, chúc mừng cả nhà mình ha. Chúng ta đã hoàn thành được 30 phút rồi ha.
Dạ,
Dạ.
biết ơn cô Anh, biết ơn cả nhà.
Biết ơn cô Anh, biết ơn cả nhà.
cô Anh.
Dạ, vậy là cả nhà chúng ta là sẽ ngày thứ tư ha. Ngày thứ tư với cả ngày thứ sáu chúng ta sẽ đọc từ lúc 9 giờ đến 9 rưỡi trước khi vào học grammar. Dạ. Cả nhà ha. Dạ, vậy thì cái phần này á, sau khi chúng ta đọc xong á, thì có lẽ là chúng ta nên làm một cái bài học tâm đắc gì ngộ ra gì đó ha. Rồi cả nhà có thể làm một cái bài học tâm đắc ngộ, hoặc là chúng ta có thể tóm tắt cái phần chúng ta đọc á, để cho nó có thể đi sâu vào chúng ta hơn ạ. Ha. Dạ, cả nhà có đồng ý làm cách đó không ạ? Chứ không có thì mình cũng khi mà mình đọc xong rồi á, thì mình sẽ có được một vài 3 ý, 5, 7 ý gì đó về cái phần chúng ta vừa đọc ha. Dạ, thì cả nhà thấy vậy có được không ạ? Cả nhà thấy sao ạ?
Nếu làm được như vậy thì tốt quá cô.
Dạ, thì trước mắt ấy, thì chúng ta cứ đặt ý như vậy đi. Còn nếu mà ai làm được thì chúng ta làm, còn ai chưa làm được thì chúng ta vẫn tiếp tục đọc, để chúng ta nó sẽ có cho mình một cái ý niệm ấy ạ. Chúng ta cứ đặt ý trước đi nghe ha cô ha. Ví dụ như bài đến lần sau á, chúng ta sẽ có, để trước khi vào chúng ta đọc thì chúng ta sẽ có một cái bài học tâm đắc ngộ gì khoảng 5, 7, 10 câu gì đó. Thì chúng ta làm 5, 7, 10 câu gì đó để chúng ta có mấy cái bài học tâm đắc ngộ của bài hôm trước, để chúng ta có thể nhìn lại, hoặc là chúng ta nhìn lại những cái từ khó hoặc gì gì đó để chúng ta recall lại cái phần chúng ta vừa đọc ấy ạ. Dạ, thì anh nghĩ rằng là nó sẽ tốt hơn, tại vì chúng ta thấy là chúng ta đọc rất nhanh. Một tuần nếu mà 3 ngày á, thì chúng ta đã đọc được khoảng 3 chương rồi, sau này chúng ta sẽ đọc lại, nhưng mà có thể là chúng ta sẽ recall lại cái phần đó một chút ha, cả nhà ha. Dạ, vậy thì bây giờ chúng ta sẽ chụp một tấm hình để chúng ta cùng nhau chụp tấm hình để chúng ta kỷ niệm là ngày hôm nay chúng ta đã đọc xong chưa? Cái của ngày 7 nè, ngày 7, ngày 8, ngày 9, ngày 10, ngày 11, ngày 12 là chúng ta đọc được 6 ngày rồi nha. Cả nhà thấy tuyệt vời không ạ? Dạ, vậy thì dạ, rất là biết ơn cả nhà. Vậy cả nhà thả bông thả tim ha, rồi để cho anh sẽ chụp một cái hình ha. Vậy là hôm nay chúng ta sẽ đã có là 7 người đọc sách ha. Dạ rồi. Rồi, biết ơn cả nhà rất là nhiều.
Dạ, biết ơn cả nhà,
biết ơn cô Anh, biết ơn cả nhà.
Dạ, ngày hôm nay là chúng ta sẽ ngày hôm nay chúng ta sẽ có 7 người, chúng ta đọc được 30 phút từ ngày 7 tới ngày 12. Dạ, ngày thứ tư thì chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục cái phần này từ lúc 9 giờ đến 9 giờ 30 trước khi vào phần grammar. Dạ, biết ơn cả nhà, chào cả nhà.
Dạ.
Dạ,
Dạ, bye cả
nhà.
dạ, bye bye cả nhà.
Dạ,
Dạ.
giờ mình vô cái lớp kia luôn hả cô?
Dạ, hôm nay mình được nghỉ cô.
Hôm nay PLA nghỉ hả cả nhà?
Hôm nay PLA nghỉ ha.
Dạ vâng. Dạ, biết
Dạ.
ơn cô. Dạ.
Dạ.
Các cô ơi, mình nhớ điền địa chỉ nha cô Tiffany ơi, điền địa chỉ vô cái chỗ virtual đó cô Tiffany.
Dạ.
Điền địa chỉ để gửi sách á, để thầy OK gửi sách cho mình á. Dạ.
Dạ. Nhưng mà em ở Mỹ rồi sao cô?
Để cô gửi về nhà người thân cô á.
Dạ.
Xong rồi làm sao đó gửi qua cho cô để mình học cái ngữ pháp được tốt á. Dạ.
Dạ. OK. Dạ, biết ơn cô. Dạ,
chào
bye
cô.
cô.
Dạ.
Dạ, bye.
Dạ rồi.
Dạ, chịu anh đưa về nhà nhỏ đó, mọi người điền giúp em luôn ha. Điền địa chỉ.
Dạ vâng.
Em chào cả nhà.
Biết ơn cả nhà.
Rồi, chúc cô Paula mau khỏe ha.
Dạ,
Dạ
bye
rồi,
Paula.
chúc cô Paula mau
Bye.
khỏe. Dạ rồi. Bye bye cả nhà.
Dạ.